Howdy folks, and welcome back to your annual War Thunder video. In PC gaming news this week, in March 2057, Chris Roberts Jr. announced that he remains committed to his father's vision for the massively crowdfunded game Star Citizen. Speaking from Cloud Imperium Games' new development offices on the Moon, he proudly confirmed that Star Citizen has in fact just passed the $350 billion crowdfunding mark, and in recognition of this milestone achievement made the further announcement that development will be once again restarting from scratch in order to take advantage of the new and exciting possibilities offered by Unreal Engine 27. In other news this week, both Bethesda and Rockstar Games announced that versions of Skyrim and Grand Theft Auto 5 respectively would of course be available for the upcoming release of Sony's PlayStation 17. Meanwhile, in War Thunder, there's a new sheriff in town. This is Credude29 in the Vought F8 Crusader, the last aircraft developed for the United States Armed Forces that featured guns as its primary armament, earning itself the nickname the last of the Gunfighters. It was one of the first true supersonic carrier-based fighter aircraft. It was built in large numbers, more than 1,200 were built, and it had a significant operational career as a dogfighter, a strike aircraft, and a reconnaissance platform. The F8 Crusader was the Vought Corporation's third attempt at developing a successful supersonic jet fighter. They'd done well in World War II with the excellent F4 Crusader, but they found the transition to the jet age difficult. Their first attempt to build a jet fighter was the F6 Pirate. To say that this aircraft's design was somewhat uninspiring would be one hell of an understatement. They suffered from being criminally underpowered and had terrible handling, and of the only 30 that were built, none made it past the test and evaluation stage. The Navy's verdict on the F6 Pirate was the F6U-1 had proven so sub-marginal in performance that combat utilisation is not feasible. The F6 Pirate was Vaught's first strike. Their second strike would occur just a couple of years later when they offered up the F7 Cutlass for Navy evaluation. Whereas it could be said that Vought hadn't really tried hard enough when it came to the Pirate, they'd probably tried a little bit too hard when it came to the Cutlass. The Cutlass was an innovative aircraft. It just wasn't a very good one. Descriptions of the troubles of the Cutlass are so negative that they're hard to believe. All 3 prototypes were lost in crashes. The aircraft's performance and fitness for operational duty were judged unacceptable, and all 14 of the pre-production aircraft were relegated to training duties, where they suffered from a very high accident rate. In fact, 2 were said to have crashed even before delivery from the manufacturer. 2 of the Navy's F7Us were provided to the Blue Angels flight demonstration team to be used for solo performances, along with the Grumman F9 Panthers used by the rest of the team. It would prove to be the Cutlass's only moment of distinction. According to a story, a Navy commander asked a Marine Lieutenant Colonel who had just test flown one of the Cutlasses, "What do you think? Is it any good?" "Nope." "Well, does it have any potential?" "Nope." Yeah. So that was Strike 2. Fortunately, for the US Navy pilots who had to fly them, and for the Vought Corporation in general, their third attempt would prove to be a startling success. This was, of course, the F8 Crusader. That's flown for us today in an increasingly tight turning dogfight against the MiG-21, which was its principal opponent, funnily enough, during the Vietnam War, by Credude29. Designed from the ground up as an air superiority fighter aircraft. None of this interceptor rubbish. Designed in an age where the consensus of opinion was that you didn't actually need guns on an aircraft anymore because these newfangled missiles were clearly superior. Something that would prove to almost be the undoing of the F4 Phantom. Although, to be fair to the Phantom, that wasn't entirely the fault of the aircraft. Oh, by the way, that is a rocket pod in the belly of the aircraft, something that was very rarely actually used in combat and was often sealed shut. Is this going to be his first kill? It is indeed. We got the MiG-21. But yeah, to be fair to the F4 Phantom, the design requirement that was submitted to the McDonnell Douglas Corporation by the US Navy was for a fleet interceptor, whose job would be beyond visual range combat, knocking down incoming bombers long before they got within sniffing distance of a carrier task group. The Navy didn't need the Phantom to have guns. It had a gunfighter, the F8 Crusader. That's not what the Phantom was for. Nobody ever thought that the Phantom was expected to get into fights like the one that Creedude is currently in here in his Crusader, whereas the last aircraft left alive on his team against 6 enemies, one of whom, by the way, in the Yak-38 in Hot Pursuit, is none other than Fly Daily. I mean, shit, dude, look at this. Come on, you got this, you got this. Or maybe not. Whoa, holy shit. And yes, kill number 2. Scratch 1 MiG-19. 1 down, 5 to go. Easy. 1 missile left, not anymore. Last one against the Super Mystère, who is still only just in shooting range. Another MiG-19 on his tail, pulls up. Is he going to force this guy to overshoot as well? MiG-19's trying desperately not to. He's not trying hard enough. And is that a kill? It looked like a kill. He hasn't been credited with a kill. Where did he go? Where's the MiG-19? It's a death dive. Yep. Crashed. He's shitting me. That was a kill. He damaged him so much he couldn't pull out of that dive. Creedude, you were robbed. As far as I'm concerned, that's kill number 3. By the way, I don't know if you've noticed, he's fired off all 4 of the missiles, which appear to have been added to the aircraft fuselage more as an afterthought than anything else. Oh, hang on a minute. That is the MiG-19 that he hit earlier. And he just hit again. And disabled his elevator while he was in a steep dive. Is that going to be a kill? No, he has managed to recover. And there's... oh, no. The aircraft that you just momentarily saw behind him there, that's AI. It's one of the mission objectives. The MiG-19's had quite enough of this. He's running for home, going to land and get some repairs. Which means for the first time in the last couple of minutes, Creedude can afford to breathe, while still paying attention, because of course he's not alone out here. And it looks as if he's also heading back for base in order to land. He doesn't need any repairs, but he's definitely going to need to rearm. This aircraft was equipped with 4 20mm cannons, but it only had 144 shots per gun, so if he's not out, he's very, very low on ammunition. During its trials phase, the prototype of this aircraft, the XF8U-1, which rolled out in February 1955 and first took to the air on the 25th of March, with Vaught's chief test pilot John W. Conrad at the controls, where it broke Mach 1 during its initial flight, making it the first fighter designed for shipboard operations to fly faster than sound. The requirements that were imposed on this aircraft by the Navy were, to be fair to the Vought Corporation, very, very tough to meet. The overhead that carrier deck operations imposes on an aircraft, including ruggedized landing gear, an arresting hook, folding wings, all of this leads to a weight penalty, and that works against performance. Similarly, high flight performance tends to work against low landing speed, and low landing speed is particularly important for landing on an aircraft carrier deck. The Vought engineers came up with an amazing design to meet this requirement. The most unusual feature of the aircraft was what they called a variable incidence wing. Now you can't really see it here in War Thunder, but the wings actually tilt up and down at the leading edge. On takeoff and landing, the wing can be pivoted up 7 degrees, hinging on the rear wing spar and jacked up by a hydraulic actuator. This variable incidence wing scheme allows the wing to assume a high angle of attack, reducing the approach and takeoff speed, essentially turning the whole wing into one big flap. Ooh, is this going to be a Jingles landing? Creedude, mate, you kind of missed the runway. But then again, I guess all of that grass is just cosmetic, because that looks like a remarkably smooth landing. Hooray for carrier aircraft ruggedized landing gear. But yes, unfortunately it's not apparently modelled here in War Thunder, but those wings should actually be pivoted up at the front, which was something that this aircraft was capable of doing in order to have a high performance jet fighter aircraft that still had a relatively low takeoff and landing speed. It also meant that the aircraft could come in straight and level on landing instead of being tilted backwards to achieve that high angle of attack, which gave the pilot a much better forward view. It also meant that the designers didn't have to give the aircraft a very long nose wheel landing gear, which was one of the major failure points of this aircraft's predecessor, the F7 Cutlass. Another remarkable, if unintended, design feature of the F8 Crusader was its ability to fly with its wings folded, as more than one Navy pilot discovered the hard way, and entirely by accident. On the 23rd of August 1960, a Crusader with its wings folded took off from a Navy Air Force base in Naples in full afterburner, climbed to 5,000 feet, and then returned to land successfully. While in flight, the pilot had complained to ground control that the aircraft's control forces were a bit more stiff than he was accustomed to, and upon glancing out the cockpit to his left, realised immediately why. However, the Crusader was perfectly capable, even if it wasn't desirable, of flying with the wings in the folded up position, and he was able to put the aircraft down safely. This would not be the only time an F8 Crusader took off and landed with the wings in this state. Oh, hang on a second, it looks like Cree Dude's picked up some company. Who is it? It's Fly Daily in the Yak 38. Not a particularly good aircraft. Its only real distinction was the fact that it was the Soviet Union's first vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. Much like the Hawker Harrier, except nowhere near as good. I would not want to be fighting a Crusader in one of those things. Then again, it is Fly Daily, it's pretty good. But at the same time, if you have two pilots, both of whom are pretty good, one of them's in a Yak 38 and the other one's in a Crusader, the smart money pretty much has to go on the Crusader pilot. Looks like Fly's trying to open the distance, but he's still just inside missile range. There it goes. Superman Stairs coming back. Cree Dude's going to leave. Fly to the missile. And he's got him as he evades the initial attack from the Superman Stair. Yep. Burning wreckage of one YouTuber down on the ground just up ahead. Somewhat ironically, despite this aircraft's status as the last of the Gunfighters, it only actually achieved 4 air-to-air kills using its guns during the entirety of the Vietnam War. The Crusader would go on to claim 19 kills for every 3 Crusaders shot down, which was the best kill ratio of any aircraft type, but only 4 of those 19 kills were with guns. The other 15 were all with missiles. Pilots did love the aircraft though, because you had options in the Crusader that you didn't really have in the Phantom. The Phantom was a successful aircraft and was a successful fighter aircraft, a role it was never really designed for, but it was successful more due to its sheer brute force rather than any particular finesse in the aircraft's design. Ooh, that's got to be a kill. Yes, he's gone into a spin. At that altitude he's never recovering. And there he goes, kill number 5. Beautiful. The fact that the Crusader did make considerable demands on pilot skill for safe operation, which earned it the reputation as a bit of an ensign eliminator, Navy pilots loved the Vought F8 Crusader, because it was a fighter. Not a long-range missile bus like the Phantom was designed to be, not a bomb truck like the A4 Skyhawk. The Crusader was a fighter, as amply demonstrated here by Cree Dude 29 as he's knocked out 5 of the 6 enemy jets that he was forced to face alone in this particular realistic battle here in War Thunder. Hope you enjoyed this War Thunder video, folks, and as always, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you the same time next year.